good evening. You are now listening to the worldwide transmission of the GBC with the Honorable WMII.
Greetings, and welcome again. I am very, very excited to be coming before you again. I want to also thank you for the support and the views and the likes and the subscriptions that you provided unto us on social media, all the comments that you've given as well in our email address as well. If you would like to be a sponsor as well, folks, I'm having a lot of people asking me about that as well. You can email me at the end page, the Honorable WM2 at gmail.com, the Honorable WM2 at gmail.com, and I'll be glad to speak with you. You can also send me a message on our YouTube page as well. I'll be glad to let you know what you can do to have your business or your cause stated on our program. I also want to thank all of our listeners around the world. As I stated in the previous broadcast, we're not just here in the United States. We are all across the globe. That's why we are the global broadcasting champions. And in respect to our global audience, I would like to also mention some stories across the globe as well. Just want to say about this protest that's going on. It's been crazy. A lot of entertainers as well have been getting involved in the cause. I saw an article where Bill Murray, his son, has gotten arrested. I saw that Jamie Foxx, Christy Teigen, even the boxer Anthony Joshua, they've been getting the calls in this protest as well. So I'm just here letting you all know that my heart goes with everyone. My heart goes with the family of George Floyd. I pray and hope that they find peace and solace during this time of bereavement. Just getting to some stories across the world here. Here in the country of India, this article here states that India surpasses Spain as the ranked of the 5th worst hit COVID-19 country. So not just here in the United States, but India is going through as well. My heart and my prayers go out to the wonderful people in the country of India. Going over to Russia, it states that Russia declares a state of emergency after a massive oil spill in the Arctic Circle. You know, a lot of times we think that there's nothing going on in the Arctic Circle, but there actually is here. Just want to talk a little bit about this because it's serious here. I remember in the United States, there was a spill that they had in the waters as well. It took a long time to clear up. It says President Vladimir Putin has declared a state of emergency in a region within the Arctic Circle in far northern Russia. The move comes after 20,000 tons of oil leaked into a river from a power plant. The plant is operated by a subsidiary of Norilsk Nickel, a leading palladium and nickel producer. So there's some issues going on over here in Russia of some spillage. And it states that the spillage occurred on the 29th of May when the oil products leaked from a tank in an industrial plant operated by a subsidiary of Norilsk Nickel, as we stated. And, you know, that's going to be a lot of cleanup that has to be done. They said that President Putin was shocked to discover that local authorities had only learned of the incident from social media 2 days after it had happened, after he admonished the region's governor. So he said, what we are to learn about emergency situations from social networks. It seems like they found out about the spill. That's like, for example, if we find out something major happened, like something exploding on Facebook. These government officials found out on social media. You know? He said, what are we to learn about emergency situations from social networks? Are you all right health-wise over there? Putin said, the news agency reported Wednesday. He then reportedly supported a proposal to declare a national state of emergency in the area as it was assist in the cleanup effort. So, the nickel company said on the website that the accident was caused by a sudden sinking of supporting posts in the basement of the storage tank, and that emergency teams immediately arrived to the site to start cleanup works. It said that the spill happened in a remote area and that no local community had been impacted. So our folks over in Russia, my heart goes out for those folks over there. Hopefully that cleanup could be done swiftly and safely. Flying over to the UK, United Kingdom, Boris Johnson pledges to admit 3 million from Hong Kong to the United Kingdom. It's reading on here. It says that Prime Minister Boris Johnson raised the stakes in a brewing confrontation with China on Wednesday, promising to allow nearly 3 million people from Hong Kong to live and work in Britain if Beijing moves forward with a new national security law on the former British colony. Mr. Johnson's offer, made in a column in the Times of London, opens the door to a significant influx of people fleeing Hong Kong should the situation in the territory deteriorate further. But it leaves unanswered thorny questions about how difficult it would be for these arrivals to obtain British citizenship. So the folks from Hong Kong are trying to flee over into Britain, and there's some challenges in it as well. It says that describing it as one of the biggest challenges in visa regulations in British history, Mr. Johnson said that roughly 350,000 Hong Kong residents who hold a British overseas passport, as well as some 2.5 million who are eligible to apply for one, would be granted 12-month renewable visas that would allow them to work in Britain and put them on a path to citizenship. Many people in Hong Kong fear that their way of life, which China pledged to uphold, is under threat. Mr. Johnson wrote, "If China proceeds to justify their fears, then Britain could not in good conscience shrug our shoulders and walk away. Instead, we will honor our obligations and provide an alternative." So Boris Johnson's trying to look out for the folks in Hong Kong there. Mr. Johnson's offer applies to Hong Kong residents whose passports bear the insignia of the British government, reflecting their status in the territory before it returned to Chinese sovereignty in 1997, but do not confer the rights of citizenship that come with an ordinary British passport. So there is a lot going on in the world, folks. Lastly, of our stories around the world, we're going to stay parked in the UK. Prince Charles, good old Prince Charles, he suggested that the UK workers out of a job consider employment picking fruits and vegetables. So Prince Charles wants to put the commoners back in the field, so to speak. Our story reads, Prince Charles is receiving backlash this week after promoting a campaign calling for people who have been furloughed from their jobs amid the COVID-19 pandemic to pick fruits and vegetables. Prince Charles appeared in a video on the Clarence House Twitter page in support for Pick for Britain campaign, a UK government initiative which seeks to find able work on the produce farms. Just a little bit more here. Particularly those who are furloughed. So those out of a job, they're trying to get them some work. Some people are feeling some backlash about them picking fruits and vegetables in the fields. And they're offering this because the labor shortage from the fruit and vegetable farms were people coming out of the country. Like over here, we have a lot of Hispanics coming across the border, and a lot of them work in the fields and help with the fruits and vegetables here. And that's the same thing Prince Charles is trying to do for the average folks who's been furloughed. He said, without people to pick the produce, it could rot on the vine. So Prince Charles, he's known as somebody who does a lot of husbandry as well. He said, in the coming months, many thousands of people will be needed to bring in the crops. It will be hard graft, but it is hugely important if we are to avoid the growing that is going to waste. You know, he called for a second coming of the land army during World War I, which saw many women taking on agricultural jobs as men went to fight in the military. You know, this is something Prince Charles is saying is of the utmost importance. He said that those that are looking for work in these difficult times should consider a job picking fruits and vegetables. You know, and a lot of people in the government in Britain are siding with Prince Charles on this. He was a farmer himself, as you can see here on this. Here, he's picking in the fields and the produce market, trying to, pick some good crops here to take home. Some people didn't like that comment that Prince Charles had made, and they felt a little offended. That's like, there's some people that if you tell them to get back in the fields, they'll look at it as offensive. So one of the comments here from Mr. Mark Wintermute said, "You gotta love the optics of Prince Charles calling for the commoners to pick in the blankety blank field." So Mr. Mark wasn't too satisfied with that. That Prince Charles, supposedly British royalty, didn't want to himself get out there, but told the commoners to. And another person named Max said, as soon as you get yourself, I'm paraphrasing here because the comments weren't too nice. He said, as soon as you get yourself up and out picking strawberries for 8 hours a day, then I'll give it some thought. Until then, shush. So, it's interesting. Lastly, Miss Allison stated it. Who is going to provide the PPE and top class health? Should one start displaying symptoms of the coronavirus? And who's going to provide death benefits if a death happens? And who's going to provide transporting and housing for this? So I'll leave it at that and let you mull over that. That's some of our news that's going on around the world. And, just want to say that there is the whole world is seems like it's being turned upside down. And the only thing that's going to keep our minds stable and just sane is getting back to the Bible and what the Word of God says. Because when we get back to the Bible and what the Word of God says, we will most definitely know how to live in this world and to know how to behave ourselves. All these articles that we read, we will most definitely know, that there is someone who has the whole world in his hands, and we don't have to worry at all about being, under siege about what's going on out here. I most definitely am going to get into our main story when we come back. But at this moment, we're going to take a quick break and continue on with the GBC. In there with us with the GBC. I am the Honorable WMII, and I want to get into some stories here around the world that's going on before I get back into my main stories. Are you serious? I'm working. Cops arrest essential workers working during the protests. There's an article here that some cops have been arresting essential workers helping out, and we thank God for the essential workers out here. So it's just a lot of confusion going on in the world that, they're arresting folks who are actually been classified as essential workers. Another one states that the biggest transfer of wealth in the United States history has begun. I hear a lot of talk about the wealth transfer that's going on. They're saying that the stock market is still doing fantastically well. Even throughout the pandemic, even throughout the protests, the stock markets are soaring. So those that are dealing with that, they're saying they're seeing some great gains. In addition, while we're going ahead, I would like to thank Preach the Word Worldwide Network for airing us all across the world. They are a wonderful group of folks that we work with, and I just want to take this time out to say tune in to them. They have some great programs on there that you would most definitely enjoy along with mine. Just want to get into our main story here. You've been hearing a lot of stuff about the stimulus going on. The $1,200 that we've gotten the other month from the stimulus. It's interesting. I hear a lot of families and a lot of folks say it was very needful that the country has been given this. Some folks are saying, hey, we're overspending. There's another group of folks out there that are saying, hey, is this going to hurt our future or our children's future? There's a lot of questions about that. And on top of that, there's a new stimulus that they're talking about bringing out in the very near future. So what is it to you? Is it something that you feel that it is of need? Write me. I would love to hear your comments on it. Write me what you think about what the stimulus is doing, and is it helping us or is it hurting us? My thing is, if you get the stimulus, what are you doing with it? That's my main question or my main story here. What are we doing with this stimulus that we've been given? Some people, and I understand, you have to buy groceries, you have to buy household necessities, you have to buy things for your family. But are we putting some away to start something of our own so we won't have to necessarily need a stimulus again? That's a question. And this is an article here that I have from Market Watch, and it states, this is how fast Americans are spending their stimulus checks. And here's a breakdown of what they're buying. So there are folks who have looked into this, have done research on what is going on with this stimulus and how Americans are spending it. And it says economists, and this story is by Andrew Keshner. It says economists look at the stimulus and our saving habits of more than 1,600 people who received their stimulus checks by April the 21st. Reading on this article, he has President Trump here with the lawmakers and the folks who've got it signed. The article reads as follows. When Americans received stimulus checks during the Great Recession, studies indicated many spent at least a portion of their money on cars. So they were buying assets, depreciating assets, because time you drive off the lot, that car depreciates. It says during the 2008 stimulus program, up to 90% of the rise in durable goods spending had to do with automobile spending, according to the previous research by the American Economic Association. At that time, the government paid an individual between $300 and $600, and couples received between $600 and $1,200. The government also paid $300 per child as well. So, and I know some of you just like to ride pretty whenever we get our funds, but we have to start thinking a little differently, folks. And, they talked about a lot of stuff we received with the CARES Act and with the stimulus that we just had the other month. And it says, given the size of the 2020 stimulus checks, we might have expected large impacts on categories like automobile spending, electronics, appliances, and home furnishings. Those things are nice, and they make your home and they make yourselves look good. You feel great when you're riding in a good car. But is that going to provide generational wealth for your family? You have to ask yourself that. Given the size of the 2020 stimulus checks, we might have expected large impacts on categories like the automobile spending, as I stated, and the home furnishings. And they said instead, it seems that individuals are catching up with rent and bill payments, as well as engaging in spending on food, personal care, and non-durables. So there's some people who are spending it on necessities and some people who are spending it on other things. Looking at the spending and saving habits of more than 1,600 people who received their stimulus checks by April 21st in an approximate 6,000 person sample. This is what the researchers found here. So, these folks have really studied what you've been spending, and it's funny because anything you do, people are studying it. If you go to the store and you put your phone number in, like if you go to a certain supermarket and they ask for your phone number and you get those discounts, a lot of times people are still doing research on what you're spending. They're seeing what you're buying. They're seeing what you buy frequently. And there's surveys that's created for those things to kind of track your spending habits. For what reason? I don't know. Maybe you can find out that and write me. They said somebody who got their stimulus check in 3 days, their spending increased from $50 to $75 a piece on expenditures like food and non-durable goods, a category that includes supplies like laundry detergent, pens, paper, and other items with a shorter lifespan. During that time, the purchase of durable goods increased by $20 in those first 3 days. This category included cars, appliances, furniture, and other things meant for longer use. On the whole, households spent around 1/4 to 1/3 of their stimulus check money within 10 days of receipt. So within 10 days of getting their stimulus checks, it's been gone. It's been blowing. Here's some more information here. If people had less than $500 in their account, they went through almost half of their money within 10 days. People with over $3,000 in their accounts had essentially no extra spending after getting their check. A person who made less than $1,000 a month was twice as likely to spend money after getting their check compared to someone making at least $5,000, the researchers noted. That fits a historical pattern from the past stimulus programs, the study said. In the wake of stimulus bills during 2008 and 2001, households with larger declines in net worth or households with lower levels of assets also tend to respond more strongly to the stimulus checks. It is too soon to see what the stimulus checks accomplish for families and the economy as a whole, Columbia business professor R.A. Farakina said. What we can tell for a fact is consumer behavior is different compared to the 2008 stimulus spending habits. It says household spending on food delivery was one category in particular that increased following the receipt of a stimulus check. And a lot of companies have capitalized on this. You have grocery stores now, they'll deliver your food to you. You have restaurants where they deliver your food to you. Anything you can think of now, they're pretty much delivered to you, to your homes. A little bit more here on this article. They said that many have been hard hit in the past 2 months, but didn't necessarily find it alarming that more money was going to food, rent, bill, and non-durables compared to durable goods. After all, they noted a family might not want a stranger coming in to install a new washing machine, or they might not have reason to buy a new car with fewer places to visit. Time will tell how many use all their stimulus money, he said. Noting the spending trailed off 10 days from receipt, many people might be holding onto the rest to see what the future holds. And that's good. You need to be saving your money, if not all of it, save a portion of it so that you can have something just in case a rainy day arrives. However, he does wonder whether these $1,200 checks would be enough to spur consumer spending to fuel economic recovery. And that's one thing. A lot of people are talking about what's going on in Congress. They're appreciative of the $1,200, but some feel that we should have $2,000 or more a month or for a few months going on to fuel the economic recovery, because some people feel that with just $1,200, they're not going to go out all willy-nilly spending in the stores. And people are skeptical of going in the stores now. They don't want to necessarily go in the stores and have the possibility of contracting the coronavirus or getting sick anyways. Some people just don't want to be out there at this moment. Reading on, it said the study distributed this week by the National Bureau of Economics Research is another look at how the coronavirus outbreak and its economic consequences suddenly left many American families cash-strapped, especially those making lower incomes. On Wednesday, Fed Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell said that 40% of people in households making less than $40,000 a year in February lost their jobs in March. When April's rent came due, nearly one-third of renters struggled to pay it, the data said. The Internal Revenue Service has distributed more than 128 million checks and paid over $218 billion as of early May. The new study comes as lawmakers debate another bill addressing the outbreak's economic repercussions. The Democrat-backed $3 trillion HEROES Act would, among other things, authorize another round of $1,200 direct payments per eligible individual. So they're working hard at trying to get this passed. Payouts would be capped at $6,000 per household. So if you had a husband and a wife in a home, the husband will get $1,200 and the wife will get $1,200. And with this new act they're trying to pass, each child up to 3 children will get $1,200 as well. So that's $1,200 times a family of 5 would be $6,000. Now, with that $6,000, if it's used wisely, a lot of things can be done. Senator Mitch McConnell, the Republican majority leader, is also brushing off the bill, calling it the aspirations of the Democratic majority in the House. So there's a lot of fighting going on with that, and there's a lot of disagreements with the Democrats and the Republicans. Hopefully they can work that out. Just want to recover one more story here, and it's interesting. It says that people are sawing through and climbing over Trump's border wall. So the wall that President Trump is building, there are folks trying to saw it off and still enter the United States. And I just want to say that there's a lot of things going on in this country. There's a lot of turmoil and a lot of upheaval. But with all that, this country is still so great that people still want to enter into the United States. So, Americans, all across the world, we want to most definitely let you know that you are living on a great country and living in a great country, a city set on a hill that God has made to be one of the greatest countries in the world. With that being said, I just want to say that there's a lot of things going on, but God is still protecting us in this country. God bless us here in the United States of America, and God bless you all around the world as I love you all. This is the Honorable WM2 signing out. God bless you.
Thank you for listening to the worldwide transmission of the GBC with the Honorable WM2.
This is the Honorable WM2, thanking all of my viewers and subscribers. I really appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. If you also want to contact us, you can reach us at thehonorableWM2@gmail.com. That's thehonorableWM, the number 2, @gmail.com. Also, you can support us with our Cash App at $THWMII. That's capitals, all capital letters, $THWMII. And we look forward to providing you great quality content and serving everyone across the world. This is the Honorable WM2 signing out.